Hello guys, and welcome back to the video. So this is an exciting video. We're going to review a clip from an interview that Alex Karp did with one of the very early investors of Palantir. And in the first video clip, they're going to explain what it means that you're investing in Palantir and what you're part of as an investor. And I'm proud to be part of this, obviously. And number two is, as we all know, the world is changing and we're going to have a deglobalizing world where, money printing is not so prevalent as it was. Maybe we are not going to have low interest rates for a very, very long time. And this investor asked Karp, how does Palantir fit into this deglobalizing, high interest rate world? And it just gives a really good insight into Palantir culture, how they think, and I think this is a must-see for every Palantirian. So, as always, if you like this content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button that is down there. And if you want to go further, check out the first link in the description box below, which will take you to our Patreon, where you get direct access to me and all the valuations that you do, and you help me survive the winter in Europe, where the electricity prices and gas prices and everything prices are completely out of control. So you help me out. Thank you. So let's begin the video.
First of all, it was crazy motivational for us internally. And, the company was built for anti-terror and military, but, Palantir saved hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lives in this country and arguably in England and other countries. The disaster that we were facing because of disparate data sets that you would never be able to unify in a short period of time unless you had spent literally 5-7 years building a product that was the complete stack that you could install with the help of, the Army Corps of Engineers that were fantastic, was just one of the most crazy motivating things that I think all of us, and I had the privilege to be involved in, and it's really even motivating now.
So whatever you think about the COVID vaccine and whatever you think about the disease, you can't deny that the fast rolling out of the vaccines, both in the US and the UK, it let us open back up the economy so that, we don't need to sit at home and be in a permanent lockdown like the people in China, because that's what our lovely politicians were doing. So I'm really happy to be part of this, because they really, if you don't believe that COVID was all that dangerous, or, that the vaccines were saving lives, they at least saved the world economy. And I really mean that. And I'm actually proud to be part of it. And now we go over to the next clip, which is very, very interesting as a Palantir investor. As I said, I happen to agree with this question. And I think exactly like how this guy thinks, that probably the stock market for quite a long time is going to go sideways. I let him explain it, and what is going to happen with Palantir. Very, very interesting, because we don't want it to go sideways for a very long time.
First of all, full disclosure, I've had a bearish bias for 45 years that I've had to work around. I like darkness. When I look back at the bull market we've been in, financial assets really started in 1982. And particularly the last 10 years went into hyperdrive. All the factors that created that not only have sort of stopped, they've reversed. So we had a government back then with a new president who said government is not the solution, they're the problem. We had a guy who wanted to deregulate as opposed to regulate. We had a chairman of the Federal Reserve named Paul Volcker, a little different than Jerome Powell. And maybe most importantly, we were right on the cusp of globalization that led to sort of one world, a lot of productivity, disinflation. The response after the global financial crisis to that disinflation was zero rates and a lot of money printing, quantitative easing. That created an asset bubble sort of in everything. Now they're like reformed smokers. They've gone from wanting to print a bunch of money to like driving a Porsche 200. I know there are Germans in the audience, driving a Porsche 200 miles an hour, like not only taking the foot off the gas, but just slamming the brakes on. So there's a high probability in my mind that the market at best is going to be kind of flat for 10 years, sort of like this 66 to 82 time period. But the nice thing is there were companies that did very, very well in that environment back then. That's when Apple Computer was founded, Home Depot was founded, coal and energy companies, chemicals made a lot of money in the 70s. I'm not saying whether this scenario is going to be right or not, but if it is right, who will be the winner and the losers, and where does Palantir fit in a world like I'm describing?
Yeah. Well, there's like the financial part. I think there's also like a weird corporate leadership part. Like, are you actually built for times where things are kind of dark?
Yeah,
and
that's the question.
And you know, we had the first, arguably, 16 years of Palantir. We were built, if everyone was like, you're shrouded in secrecy, we're also shrouded in the darkness of everybody wondering, what the fuck is this crazy company doing? You know, and like being
That is still the case. I did a poll on my YouTube channel about, who actually understands what Palantir does, and if I should do an interview with Code Strap where we very simply explain it. And that interview is happening very soon, by the way. And 40% of the investors of Palantir said they have no clue what Palantir is doing. So still is the case.
Popular. I tend to see in what I think is going to be very difficult times enormous advantages for Palantir. Advantage one is just in hyper kind of euphoric orgiastic times, you have essentially competition for our talent that's real. And so, you have lots of companies that are going to fail, but they prevent people from coming here, and people who, have frustrations like, lots of frustrations like shadow hierarchy and, various frustrations I was going with people. And it's like, but instead of fixing those frustrations, they join like insect.com and enjoy the perfect life while failing. And that's actually been historically very, very tough for us and frustrating for me personally. Then you have like what I tend to think in bad times, you have to answer really simple questions that are not theological. Like, what does your company do? Why would someone pay you more for it than you paid to build it? So like, can you, and what does your balance sheet look like? Like, do you have money in the bank? How much money do you have in the bank? Do you have debt? Are you building things that are useful? Are you building things that are going to be useful tomorrow? Are those things going to be useful when people are really screwed? Or is it just steak dinner sales? Like, are you just actually selling? It's like everyone is engaged in having fun and switching money around. The salespeople like the sellees, they're all, and in fact, it's just fun, and you're all getting rich. And Palantirians are really, really bad at what I would call, I'm not calling that corruption, but it's like we're bad at like, we all win while doing nothing kind of theater. If you look at the people we hire, why we hire, these are like low theater, high performance, sometimes edgy people. That's why, and why are we building these very deeply entrenched products? Primarily for mission reasons. But the weird thing about mission is it's a metaphor for this thing will actually save your life. And therefore, you are going to buy it and you're going to pay us. We have very fair relationships with our partners, but it's absolutely, if you're saving someone's life, it is absolutely okay to ask them for enough money that your life as a business continues and thrives. And if you look at what Palantir did, there's this huge, leaving aside the DPO, there were legitimate reasons why people were like, well, this company can't DPO. They're making, in 2019, $750 and losing a couple $100 million. We went from a company that was losing money to now is like making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. We have $2.4 billion in the bank, no debt. These are not a coincidence. And then we have our biggest assets like Foundry has just begun to sell. We have not really begun to sell Apollo. We have all these war products that really people undervalue that we're about to sell. And we have a unique culture for building things. And the leadership of Palantir, not just me, but honestly for all the wrong reasons, me especially, I like bad times. Because bad times, people, it's a lot of this comes to what was it like in like high school? In bad times, I do not have to fight with people about why I'm different. I can explain to them how we're going to actually get things done. In good times, no one wants to talk to someone like me. It's like get out of the office, leave me alone. I don't want to hear this. And even internally, we hire super, super complicated, talented, hard to manage people, and they don't want to listen to me either. But in bad times, they go yeah, we actually have to do this, and things actually happen. So, I don't like the bad times because they're bad for other people. COVID, pandemic, wars, disunity, general recalibration of, our greatest assets of, institutions in the West that may not be working efficiently. But I think it's really good if you're in the business of actually doing deep substantive transformation, and you're not in the business of getting people to buy things that are really not that worthwhile.
I love what he said. So two very important things. So many people say that he's warmongering and, he's hoping for bad times. And I think that it's a huge misunderstanding. So Palantir is a problem-solving company, and they're damn good at it. As we saw, in some cases, they're saving lives. In some cases, they're saving the world economy. In some cases, they're stopping terrorists. So if you're solving problems as a company, it's kind of hard to sell your product if everything is going great and there's no problems. And so obviously when there's problems and people have a tough time achieving things, then they start looking for solutions. And this is very good for a problem-solving company. So don't misunderstand this. Then the second thing, which I loved, is the people that they hire and how they work. Because I personally cannot do things for the PR of doing things. I cannot look busy and not get any products. I am also a hard to control guy in my company. And I think these are the people who get things done. And I love that they have this in the culture, and the people that are there, they are there to get products done and solve your problems. And if you want the easy way, go work for insect.com and, enjoy the perfect life while that startup is going bankrupt. You still get your pay. Maybe your stock-based compensation is not going to be worth a lot, but your pay was still very high to begin with. So your life was very comfortable. This is not the people who we want on our team. We want the tough guys who are really making things go right. So I love what he said. I think Palantir's future is amazing, in my opinion. And I'm really happy that I have I actually forgot. It's 12,000 something shares I have in Palantir. And it's having an amazing day on the stock market today. Anyways, let me know, guys, what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.